Don in London, hello. It's June 22nd, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, and the reason why I'm smiling at the moment is it's been a good weekend actually. Not too much rain and quite a lot of sunshine, and life is okay. Life seems or feels to be in balance just for today. And my video is all about addiction to substance and behaviour. I'm in recovery from addiction to alcohol, so I'm recovering a day at a time and recovered for quite a while. So I guess we don't graduate when we come into recovery. We just make sure and hope for a good sober day. So if it wasn't alcohol, there'd be other substances or behaviour which would have got me. I could cross-addict. And I noticed this last night because I had a couple of sweets, and before I knew where I was munching halfway through a big packet. And that's not good for me because I'm type 1 diabetic, and everybody says that sugar is a no-no, but actually if you're type 1 diabetic or type 2 diabetic, sugar is not actually the problem. It's how much food we are putting into ourselves and the variety of food and the variety of medications we have to enable us to turn food into energy. And it can be injections of insulin, and I take two different types. One which makes sure that there is glucogen in the liver, that's the background insulin, which I take on a 24-hour basis, and then rapid insulin, which I take as I have meals or have snacks. So for each unit of food going into me in terms of carbohydrate, I need then have a unit of insulin of the right type, that's the fast-acting one, to combat and turn it into energy. The trouble is, if I don't then burn off the energy, of course what happens is I'll get fat, and I've gone through fat and famine in recovery as well as being type 1 diabetic, and it's often due to stress or clinical depression or just not being able to cope with life. And one of the things which I was reminded of last week is it's very difficult to change behaviour, change our attitudes, and I'm glad, and it's a privilege for me to be in a fellowship which helps me do this on a one-day basis, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. So AA provides me with a safe place to find out who I am on a daily basis, because I forget and I don't know sometimes, and I think I'm just pushing a big hard rock up a hill which just flattens me and sends me back down to the bottom. Anyway, fellowship is important and integral. So it means I can then be part of family, community, society and make a contribution, and I felt good to be in that 5-day course last week. It's going to elongate my life if I can keep to the regime, and what helps me do that certainly is fellowship and the one-day program, living in the day, our spiritual connection to now, all those things, so important, and yet we take it for granted sometimes. So I take less for granted and find gratitude that I'm still breathing, living. And I've got heartburn this morning, and I don't know, it could have been I overate and overcompensated. Anyway, we'll see how my blood sugars go. They're okay at the moment. So AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, that's what I focus on mainly in these videos, apart from my life. And there is a preamble shared at the beginning of every meeting. Oh, and also you might have noticed some cartoon versions of my diaries from years gone by. I've got a few 100,000 words out there. I'm not sure how to express them, and I'm experimenting, so don't think for a moment that I'm going to just do cartoons in future. I'm going to do this and probably split the cartoons onto another YouTube site. So AA, preamble, said at every meeting, it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And at the moment, excuse me for coughing, I feel alright today, and it's unusual and it's good, and I'm glad about it. So the Fellowship of AA, I cannot speak for it. It's anonymous. It's a society of unique, authentic people who can speak for themselves in their own world. And the reason why I speak about my recovery is that maybe it helps people get an idea of what AA may be able to do for them. The trouble is, it won't fix a thing. It just gives us the knowledge and the wisdom in how to change our attitude and behaviour on a daily basis. So AA does not fix people. You know, it's a program of 12 steps, and those 12 steps are about being open, honest and willing to change. And if the change is not part of the agenda, for the personal agenda of somebody who's trying to get into recovery, you might as well not bother going, because it won't do anything other than irritate you. But that's what he did in the first place for me, and it took me a few years to go back to my second meeting. And by that stage I was beaten down to I don't know how many rock bottoms along the way, but there were quite a few, and life-threatening as well, which I can be jovial about now sometimes. But at the time I was out of it, and it was a deadly serious moment or two where I was making light of checking out and expiring. So what keeps me sober? Not only fellowship meetings of AA, my family, community and society, and I also share the daily reflections here. And for today, June 22nd, it says, "Today I'm free." Well, relatively. This brought me to the good, healthy realisation that there were plenty of situations left in the world over which I had no personal power, that if I was so ready to admit that to be the case with alcohol, so I must make the same admission with respect to much else. I would have to be still and know that he, not I, was God. And you know, often we judge the world and what it's done to us, almost like an egocentric, godlike attitude of what is this world doing to me? And the simple answer is not very much. It's just where we happen to be. And you know, nature and providence, the universe, God, all those things are way beyond our comprehension. And I guess, you know, if there's a telephone line into God, it'd be constantly engaged. So what's good for me is good conscience, and knowing that if I flow with what's going on around me, I have a better chance of making some good choices. But if I try and control it, I'll get frustrated, angry and depressed, and that's the place where drinking can start again. It goes on to say here, "I am learning to practice acceptance in all circumstances of my life, so that I may enjoy peace of mind. At one time, life was a constant battle because I felt I had to go through each day fighting by myself and everyone else. Eventually this became a losing battle. I ended up getting drunk and crying over the misery. When I began to let go of self-will and self-obsession, I guess, and let God take over my life, I began to have peace of mind. Today I am free. I do not have to fight anybody or anything anymore." And the gift of that really is, whether it's God taking over our life or good conscience, and allowing ourselves to be included and keep on learning wisdom, I think we're on to a winner. And I haven't been able to get to this one for a while, as Bill sees it. And I've got a couple of minutes left. So on page 133, it talks about privileged people. "I saw that I'd been living too much alone, too much aloof from my fellows, and too deaf to that voice within, the voice of good conscience, hopefully." There's another one in there which says, "Go to the pub." Instead of seeing myself as a simple agent bearing the message of experience, I had thought of myself as a founder of AA. How much better it would have been had I felt gratitude rather than self-satisfaction. Gratitude that I once suffered the pains of alcoholism. Gratitude that a miracle of recovery had been worked upon me from above. Gratitude for the privilege of serving my fellow alcoholics. And gratitude for those fraternal ties which bound me over and bound me ever closer to them in a comradeship such as few societies of men and women have ever known. Truly did a clergyman say to me, "Your misfortune has become your good fortune. You AAs are a privileged people." And you know what? We are. And most people are privileged because we're alive, and we've got a set of brain cells which make us make sense of our lives today. And if we can understand who we are on a daily basis and what can help us be happy, not necessarily in the material sense, but in the emotional, spiritual and physical sense, we can deal with most of life's problems, or just be turning up for life as it is. And that's the gift for me. So, as I say on my videos, and it's the serenity prayer to God, or good conscience, or the higher power of your choice, as a unique, authentic person with a view, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference it surely is just for one day